Hello, everybody, wherever you may be from around the world. Welcome back to the Shack in Oregon. My name's Larry. My call sign's K7AGE, and it's Ham Radio Live. I want to ask you to please subscribe. You might see a commercial or two at the beginning. Those don't come from me. They come from YouTube, actually. But I promise there'll be no commercials in the middle. And if you, in the end, tell somebody about the channel and subscribe, it'll help people to find it on YouTube, and they can get themselves a hobby for life in ham radio. How's that sound? I want to wish you all a happy Friday around the world. Today is the 16th day of April, and we are honored, pleased, and happy as can be to see you. Welcome to the show. Happy Friday, everybody. Sorry we missed you out yesterday. It was a long day, really long day. A lot of stuff happened, really did. We had my brother's PET scan that had to be done, which was important. And we got that all handled, which is good, and hopefully get the results on that sometime next week. This camera seems to be like a little blurry. I'm not sure why. We'll go to backup camera. Okay. Backup camera is very bright, so we'll just unbrighten that a little bit so it looks a little more pleasant for you, hopefully. Hello, welcome to the show, and welcome to the channel. And there's all the boxes back there. Man, it's been crazy. Let me show you. Literally, we'll go back to the other camera, and you'll get a little idea why it was a little busy yesterday. If you can see, we're right there. There's the SP2000 speaker and a very difficult to find around the country right now, Yaesu 991A. Man, that was not the easiest rig to find. They're sold out for the most part coast to coast, and it's something that's been needed here on the channel to help people that have foundation and technician licenses to work VHF, UHF, plus nodes and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're grateful to have it. Big thanks to Bill at HRO Portland. Bill is a wonderful ham, and without his help, that would not be sitting on that desk. Bill, thank you very much. Ham Radio Outlet, a wonderful place to buy your rigs and your equipment from. And I find them typically to be the lowest price. So check your local HRO. I know that they're getting some in late April. So if you're interested in the 991 Alpha, get on the order book to get one. Also, want to talk about something. It's just, I love this thing. I use this thing all the time. I've only talked about it once, but it's brilliant. Always helps me with what's going on with time around the world. Plus, it has a 10-minute timer on it. So if I'm in a long QSO, it reminds me to give my call sign. This is the MFJ 148RC. Brilliant little device, shows your local time plus the GMT, and has a nice light if you're working at night. It's about $70, and it's a beautiful little product. So beyond that, it's been busy. Because of the 991 being here now, I had to purchase and make sure we had the right antenna. Thankfully, we've got an MFJ here, 1521. This is a fantastic antenna. For folks that don't know much about this antenna, you can use it either on the road or put it on your home. I chose to do the latter. Here's how mine looked last night after I was really done working on everything ham radio. That's the big stick up there, and it's about the top, maybe about 28 feet. It is a wonderful base or remote antenna. It will give you 3 dB of gain on 2 meters, 5.5 dB of gain on 70 SEMS, and it will take up to 200 watts. That's the MFJ 1521. It covers both 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Kudos to MFJ for a wonderful product there. I'm looking forward to using it. We will be using it exclusively on VHF, UHF, repeater work here in the Pacific Northwest to show you how well it works here on the show, and it is very, very well built. Welcome to the show. A very happy Friday to the world. My goodness gracious, we got to catch up. Wow. Joe McConaughey is here. Alpha Golf 7 X-Ray Hotel. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for coming. Stu Foster, my mate in the UK. It's awesome to have you, Stu. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Truly a joy. I mean that. And I hope you know that too. Thank you, Stu. My brother downstairs, Bob, is here. Hi, Bob. Watching directly through the magical power of Wi-Fi. How's that? I hope the test goes good, Bob. I know it was a short one, but it worked. Hopefully no more cancer here. Sean, Alpha India 7, Echo Quebec, east of the Cascade Mountains in God's country. And I mean, it's beautiful. Central Oregon. Welcome, Sean. Man, just go on YouTube, go on Google and search Bend, Oregon. Just search Bend, okay, or Redmond, Oregon. And you'll see pictures that are absolutely stunning of a very beautiful place. That's exactly where Sean lives. Beautiful country there. Kev, my mate with the 7600 love like I have. Greetings from the UK. His call sign, Mike Zero, Mike Charlie, Lima. Kevin, thank you. Thanks for being here, mate. Good to see you. John is here. Hello. I hope you're having a great day. John is in Canada, and he's a soon-to-be ham. We're going to give him all the help we can. John, welcome to the show. Welcome. Thank you. Joe, yes, they are allowing walk-ins. Yes, 4 at a time. No joke. But hurry, because Washington County, where HRO Portland technically is, HRO Portland is in a town called Tigard, and it's part of Washington County. Washington County now is talking about wrenching back on the COVID restrictions. So, Joe, if you want to head up there, hurry, because time might be short for them to be open. Just a big note to you there. So, there you go. Gunter is here saying hello, QSB enthusiast, all the way from Germany. Thank you, Gunter. Find some great content on YouTube from Gunter's channel. Does some nice DX work. Really good. Take a look for him at DK5ONV here on YouTube. All right. I want to talk about something that we did last show, and it's important for me to talk about because whenever I make a mistake, you have no idea how much I kick myself. Literally, just frustrated with mistakes I made. Here was a question on the UK test, and I want to own up to it because I was wrong. I said something very wrong there, and I don't want to mislead people. It's question number 9. You meet someone at a rally with the call sign Mike India 6, Quebec Romeo Zulu. Where are they from? The answer, of course, is Northern Ireland, but the giveaway is the I. Okay, the M has nothing to do with it. That's a UK call sign prefix. The I indicates Ireland. So if you're in the UK, you're studying for the test, you see the I there in the second character, you know it's Ireland. Okay, so please forgive me for how I stated that. Man, no one felt worse than I did about that. This is a big show. Should be fun. We're going to show you. Are you ready for this? Going to be fun. Ready? Going to show you the world's most powerful AM station ever built. No joke. You ready for this? Well, I'm going to leave it a surprise. You've got to see it. Special thanks to Randy. They did like a ham radio group walkthrough of the transmitter, most of which is still there, by the way, in Ohio. Randy, his call sign is Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. Special thanks to him on his YouTube channel. Find him at K7AGE for his work on YouTube. This is a fantastic video. It's just a short section of it, but you'll find out about this transmitter. It's unbelievable. What they did, of course, it was in the early days of radio. Otherwise, it never would happen today. There's no way they could do this today. But watch it. We'll show it at the beginning of this show before we get into test questions because it's that good. Later, after the test questions, the biggest pileup I have ever heard in my life to work one of the most remote places on Earth. That's coming up at the end of the test questions. We should hit that mark at 35. Well, with the piece from Randy, hit at 45 minutes. So 45 minutes if you want to skip over to see that incredibly crazy pile up QSO for a very rare contact. Get to 45 minutes, you'll have it. First, let's take a look at Randy's work at WLW. WLW is one of our country's legendary stations, one of the first to go on the air, and they also became the most powerful in history. Take a look at this.
A package of Avalon cigarettes, please.
Yes, sir. Oh, just a moment, sir. And don't forget your change. You never guessed, but Avalon's cost you less.
Those little fountains, by the way, those those fountains are there to help cool that transmitter, believe it or not, that fountain and pond.
Good evening, friends. Good evening. This is Del King.
Hello, Randy K7AGE. I'm at the WLW station. So we're going to take a little tour inside this building, and we're going to kind of go back in time. Back in 1932, this station went from 50,000 watts to 500,000 watts. It was the only AM commercial radio station ever to go to 500,000 watts.
Welcome to WLW. My name is Jay, K7AGE. This is Jeff, W8GNM. We're both ex full-time Harris people, now part-time Harris people. Ted Ryan, Ted's the chief engineer for WLW. And Ted Kendrick is a retiree from this location.
One of the station engineers for this facility, yeah.
So a little bit of history. WLW went on the air in 1921. Started out as a 5-watt station in Powell Crosley's living room. The next move was to the factory for Crosley Manufacturing, which originally was a manufacturer of automobile accessories, and went to 50 watts and then later to 500 watts using homemade transmitters. Ultimately, they went out to a place called Harrison, Ohio, which is far to the west of Cincinnati, with 5 kilowatts. And there was another station that went on the air in around 1922 that was put on the air by the U.S. Playing Card Company. And its call letters were WSAI, Standard Amusement Incorporated, which was the parent for U.S. Playing Card Company. WSAI's purpose when it went on the air was to teach people to play bridge. And they played around with that for a few years and finally got kind of tired of it. And Crosley, sort of in the mode of an LMA, ran it for a while and then ultimately bought it. But while it was owned by the U.S. Playing Card Company, they moved the transmitter from the plant in Norwood out here to this piece of property in Mason, Ohio, built this building over here, which is now where Ted and his wife live, and put a Western Electric 5 kilowatt transmitter in that building. And out here in the lawn and behind it were 2 towers that supported a flat top antenna, with the house kind of right in the center of the flat top antenna. And for 3 years, WLW operated from the site in Harrison, Ohio. And Powell Crosley always did things in 10 dB increments. He always wanted to grow in 10 dB increments. So he was at 5 kilowatts, and the next increment was 50 kilowatts. And he realized he couldn't do it down in Harrison, so he bought WSAI and came out here with WLW by building this building, the front half of this building, and over in the field over here put up a tower and another one in the back, with the white building out there as the center point between those 2 towers, and put another flat top up. And bought a Western Electric Model 7C transmitter, which we're going to see the sort of the pieces of. And actually the building out here is built out of the white building is built out of the packing crates that the transmitter was shipped in. We've actually verified that. We went out, pulled the ceiling tiles down, and the Western Electric stamps are on the wood. Okay? So they installed the 50 kilowatt transmitter out here. WLW was one of the first 50 kilowatt stations, but Powell wasn't satisfied with 50 kilowatts. So that happened in 1928, and he began thinking about the next 10 dB and what it would take. And at the same time, vertical radiators were coming along and people were getting away from flat tops. So he contracted with Blah Knox and built what was originally an 831-foot vertical radiator. It was 831 because there was a mast a lot taller than the one on top that was on the tower. The idea was build an antenna that could handle 500 kilowatts. And they then went to RCA, who was not in the transmitter business at that point in time. RCA was more of a project manager, and RCA took on the job of designing and building the 500 kilowatt amplifier. Not a transmitter, but an amplifier, because it was a power supply, a modulator, and an RF deck that was driven off the 50 kilowatt Western Electric transmitter. Contracted for in 1932, delivered in the winter of 33, and first put on the air in the spring of 34. And to do that, they had to build a building essentially around the transmitter components. So they added a rear section to this building, and the transmitter basically takes up from east to west on the building. Most of the magnetics were out back on a pad. There's still part of them out there. The modulation transformers were in the basement, along with the filter capacitors, and you'll see pictures, not tonight, but there are pictures around of the original filament and bias supplies, which were large rotary converters, motor generator sets, to develop the thousands of amps of DC necessary to light the tube filaments in the transmitter. So WLW went 500 kilowatts. They were on the air a short period of time, and a grievance was filed by the Canadian government because they were obliterating a station on, I think, on 690 up in Toronto, near Toronto. And Crosley had a lot of smart engineers, so they got together and developed a pair of vertical suppressor towers, which were actively fed by sampling part of the transmission line power, routing it out on open wire, and the two suppressor towers were across the street on property that was also owned by Crosley and known as Everybody's Farm. Everybody's Farm was an experimental farm that Crosley used and actually gave agricultural reports throughout the day, market reports, as well as instructing farmers how to fertilize, how to plow, how to plant, etc. And there was a studio across the way, and they put the suppressor towers up over there, and they were able to reduce the signal level in Niagara Falls, New York, at 500 kilowatts to the same level it would have been at 50 kilowatts without the suppressor towers. So that enabled them to continue operation at 500 kilowatts. They went back on the air in the fall of 34 and continued to operate until 1939, but they operated on a special temporary authority, so they didn't have a full-time license. Every 6 months they had to go to Congress and the Federal Radio Commission, and later the FCC, and renew the license, the authority to operate at 500 kilowatts. And eventually they were challenged because they were actually operating with one station and covering as much as the networks were covering with groups of stations all around the country. And many, many entertainers got their start here in Cincinnati. People like Red Skelton, Red Barber, who was a famous sportscaster, a number of other folks performed on WLW from the studios, which at that time were in the Crosley Manufacturing Building down in Spring Grove Avenue.
How about that? Yep. Special thanks to Randy, callsign K7AGE. I'll have the link to the entire video. It's quite long, and quite honestly, I don't think it's proper to show the whole thing because it's his gig, it's his video, but I thought it'd be important to show you, since we're all into radio, what the most powerful AM station ever built looked like. And in fact, really, it wasn't a 500,000 watt transmitter. What it was a 50 kilowatt transmitter with a 500,000 watt amp. So basically it pumped up the 50 kW up to 500,000. They said at one time, listen to this, they accidentally, supposedly, got it up to 700,000 watts.
To generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
1.21 gigawatts!
Yeah.
1.21 gigawatts!
Imagine that, 700,000 watts AM. There you go. All right. If you'd like to get into radio, we would love to have you here. We truly would. If you're in the United States, please contact the American Radio Relay League. They can be found at www.arrl.org. They'll also help you if you're outside the U.S. and you'd like to find out where a local club may be to help you get licensed. Let them know. Hit that internet site there, the link I'm going to put on the description section of the video, and just hit the contact us. Tell them what you're at, what you're looking for, and they'll help you out. If you are in Canada, we have a lot of Canadians that watch the show. Please contact the Radio Amateurs of Canada. They're known as the RAC. You can find them at www.rac.ca. So Canadians, there is your link. It will also be in the link of this description on the video. For our mates in Great Britain across the pond, of course, you can contact the Radio Society of Great Britain. They can be found at www.rsgb.org. Great group of people there. In fact, we're looking to maybe have one of their people come on the channel to talk about radio in Great Britain, as well as the importance of being part of the RSGB. That'll be coming hopefully in May. Welcome to the show, everybody. All right, it's a full Friday. This is full. This is what we do on Fridays, okay? Just so you understand, okay? Because Fridays are different here on the show because we try and help people get licensed at the highest level possible in 2 countries. So in the United States, it's called the AmExtra. If you're a general or you're a technician, Rod Clare from our channel that watches sometimes, Rod just passed from technician, both general and AmExtra at the same time. So it is definitely possible. If you're a general, it is absolutely within your grasp. Now, this is not a substitute for your study. This is simply to help you. Please understand that. I'm here to try and give you little things that might put them in layman's terms, so when you see the question, it's easy to remember. So before we get into that, I do want to welcome someone very, very special who's come in, Sly, all the way from Borneo. All right. Welcome, Sly. This is really cool because Sly is here from Borneo, where right now it is 2 a.m. and it's the next day. Happy Saturday. No joke. He's watching. It's 2 a.m. on Saturday, live from Borneo. Sly, you honor me. That's right now 3 continents that are watching the show, and thank you. Pobut's here. Pobut's Cracker Box. Hello again. Good to see you, my friend. Gunter is in the house. Dave from Temecula, Whiskey 6 Charlie Radio Tango. Hello to you as well. IT Guy, he is Kilo 6 Union India. Thank you for coming. Big ups to you. Thank you. Weekend is here for sure. Let's see. Scott, Kilo Charlie 2. Look at this. Charlie Alpha Delta. He knows some radio stuff. He said, didn't Wolfman Jack transmit on 2.5 million watts? No, wasn't that much. Wolfman Jack was on the Border Blaster, of course, that was over in, it's kind of Ciudad Juarez area, but they called it Ciudad Yacuña, something like that. Can't remember. Anyway, he was at 3 Border Blasters, and they did broadcast at 500,000 watts. You're right about that. So equals WLW. Yep. Border Blasters. And he worked at 3 of them, and he worked at night when they had all the power. Now, during the daytime, they had preachers on, so it's kind of interesting how he did it. Tom is here all the way in Bahrain. Tom, my friend, welcome. Man, incredible. Indonesia, Indonesia, Middle East, Europe, North America. You guys, you honor me. Thank you so much. And my dear friend Greg is here. Kilo Fox 0, Charlie Union Zulu. Greg, truly, it is an honor and privilege to have you today. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Very happy weekend for you. All right, we have extra full Friday. We're going to work first on the extra exam of the U.S., move over to the full. We'll get your comments in between. So let's get the amateur extra up first. Here's U.S. amateur extra. What orientation of BZ? That is B sub Z. Okay, so we're talking about the planetary field now, because the planetary field has a big influence on our signals. So when you see this question, understand it comes from the magnetic field caused by planets. Truly, okay? So take a look at the way the question is worded. What orientation of BZ increases the likelihood that incoming particles from the sun will cause disturbed conditions? It is always southward. Yep. Remember, when you're talking about the planetary field causing some disturbances on HF, it's going to be south. Okay? Remember that. B sub Z is the interplanetary field interaction with the ionosphere. It's a little bit technically confusing, but that's the way it is. It comes from the south. So south QSOs may be hard for you, okay? Next two, on the extra. Tropospheric propagation of microwave signals, so we're way up high now. Okay, way up, way up. All right. So we're on UHF. Tropospheric propagation of microwave signals often occurs during what weather-related structure? Tropospheric propagation, what it means is instead of getting line of sight communication like you typically do with microwave, instead, it actually does travel farther. It will work through the atmosphere and it will go farther. Now, when this occurs, it's during warm and cold fronts. Okay, so when you got a warm or a cold front coming over your area, you have a great opportunity for your microwave signals to go farther because tropospheric propagation conditions will be happening or could be happening, at least at that point. So remember, tropospheric with microwave has to do with warm and cold fronts. All right. Next question, what is the approximate maximum range for signals using transequatorial propagation? Here is another $50 question. All right. So in layman's terms, how far can you travel if you're transmitting from around the equator? That's really what this means. Okay. The answer is 5,000 miles. Okay. If you're near the equator and you're transmitting out, you're going to be using most likely transequatorial propagation conditions, which is great. You can get out about 5,000 miles. Now it means that you're going to be, because there's another question on the test like this, like that says, what is transequatorial propagation? And that is contact between 2 points along the equator. So that's what transequatorial propagation is. You can make it about 5,000 miles. With better sunspots, you can go farther. But just remember for the test, it's 5,000 miles. Next question, on the amateur extra. In the U.S., because we want you to have all those frequencies. This gets you DX on 40, on 80, and on, I think you get 15 too. So it's a big deal. Sorry, I had to get some water there. All right, next question. What is the difference between direct frequency shift keying, that's FSK, and audio FSK? So what's the difference? Well, the only difference is direct FSK applies the data signal to the transmitter VFO. That's it. When you're using direct frequency shift keying, the data signal really goes right to the microphone control. So instead of using your microphone to send the signal out, you're using your computer. In layman's terms, that's what's happening here, okay? So what's the difference between direct FSK and audio FSK? Direct FSK applies the data signal to the transmitter VFO. That's all. Next question. Amateur Extra. Full Extra Friday on Ham Radio Live. And we're glad you're here from around the world. Thank you. Next question. How should you generally identify your station when attempting to contact a DX station? Now, for new or soon-to-be hams, DX means outside your country. Okay, so DX means outside your country. So how should you generally identify your station when you're trying to contact a station outside your country during a contest or in a pileup. And we're going to see this later today on the show. I mean, it's the worst pileup I have ever heard. The answer is send your full call sign once or twice. That's it. Don't repeatedly scream your call sign into your microphone. Don't do that. It's just not right. You know, everybody has the same chance to get that call. Don't want it so bad that you'll take it away from other people by continually giving your call sign. If you're trying to contact a faraway place, just send your call sign once or twice. That's the right thing. And that's how we do things in ham radio. All right? And you'll hear it in the upcoming video just before the close of the show. You're going to hear a lot of people doing the wrong thing. And to me, it was hard to listen to after a while. But this mate was so patient. Watch what happens. Next question. Which of the following types of signals can be relayed through a linear transponder? Okay. A linear transponder can do all of these things. Remember, it's being relayed. Okay. So frequency modulation and Morse code can be relayed. So can sideband and, SSTV. So can PSK and packet. So what this means is you've got two modes of audio up top. The next is audio and video. The third is data. So all of it, they can all be relayed through a linear transponder. Just remember, linear transponder basically takes one signal and just transpons it over. So you're using the same thing that it's receiving. It's just helping it to get out. You can use audio. You can use data. Doesn't matter. It'll all work. Okay? All right. Next question. Extra Full Friday on Ham Radio Live. These two are a little hard to see, and I apologize, okay? First question. Which U.S. amateur service bands have frequencies available for a space station? And this is really cool. If you're contacting the ISS, for example, this is how you do it. 70 sems and 13 centimeters. Those two frequency bands are what they use. One is for uplink, one is for downlink, okay? So just remember 70 and 13. You're going to get thrown if you see the 70 and 33, okay? The answer always is 70, all right? The next one is 13. How I remember this for the test, and I did have this question on the extra. I remembered it as Friday the 13th. That was my way of remembering. I know that's silly, but it worked for me, and I got it right. Thank you, Lord. Okay. 70 and 13 is the U.S. amateur bands that have frequencies available for space stations. Next question. What should a VE, now VE means volunteer examiner for people who are new into ham radio. So what should a VE do if a candidate fails to comply with the examiner's instructions during an amateur operator license examination? Oh my gosh. It's a $50 question again. All right. So really what this question means is what should the person giving the test do if the person trying to take the test doesn't follow the rules? That's it. In layman's terms, that's this question. The answer is immediately terminate the candidate's examination. So if you have a candidate, you're going to be a volunteer examiner. You have a candidate who comes in with notes, they can't take the test. If you have them, cheating on their hand, they got something written maybe on their hand, some answers, right? They've got to stop the test. So just remember, that's what's going to happen. So come in with just blank scratch paper, some number 2 pencils, and remember what you've learned, okay? But don't go in there with pressure on you. Don't do that. Go in there and just relax, okay? The questions the best I can tell you on the extra, go in there and know that there's 50 questions. You can miss 13 of them. Go through the questions you know. And this would be the same for the full in the UK. Do the questions you know. Fill those out first. Then go back to the ones that you're unsure of, because you're thinking of that stuff in the back of your mind while you're doing that test. You are. So Go through the ones you know, answer those, the ones you're sure of, then go back piece by piece. You don't have to answer them in a certain amount of time. There's no time limit here. Take your time, fill out the test, okay? You'll pass this. I promise you'll pass this. Friends, I went from 0 to extra, but I worked hard to do it. There's no lie about that. And honestly, by the grace of God, I did it. But I will tell you this is very passable. I've talked to a handful of hams last month who are nervous to take the extra because they're afraid it's too hard. Don't do that. There's going to be general questions and tech questions on the extra. So you're already a step up. Don't let it scare you. All right, next. What is the permitted mean power of any spurious emission relative to the mean power of the fundamental emission from a station transmitter or external RF amplifier installed after January 1st, 2003 and transmitting on a frequency below 30 megahertz? This, my friends, is a $100 question. Man. All right. So, to break this down in layman's terms, okay, how much power is it okay for you to use below 30 megs? Okay, that's it. Okay, that's the real question. Okay, you need to be at least below 43 dB. 43 dB is the permitted mean power of any spurious emission. Spurious emission, remember, spurious emission means that you're transmitting at a power that is higher and can be wider than what's really necessary to make the call. That's what a spurious emission is. It means you're using too much power and or too much bandwidth to do something you could do with far less power and less bandwidth. That's really what it is. So if you're below 30 megahertz, it must be at least 40 dB below. Just remember 43. Simple. Okay. And how I did this before I really understood the question was I took the answer that was closest to 30. I know that sounds silly. And I know people are going to, knock me for that. And that's fine. You're more than welcome to. I don't mind. I can take that stuff. But that's how I learned it. It's the closest to 30. Remember that. You'll pass that. Next question. What is a remotely controlled station? A remotely controlled station is a station controlled indirectly through a control link. That's it. A remotely controlled station. Let me show you. Here's a remotely controlled station. This is a Flex Maestro. Okay. I have a Flex 6500. And this is a remotely controlled station. This is a remote control. It connects through Wi-Fi or it can connect through an Ethernet connection and control the whole radio. I could be downstairs or I could be in Hawaii or some other place and start up my radio here in Oregon, turn it on, start playing radio, see the signals, and make calls. Remotely controlled stations. That's all it is. It's not like some, like you've got one of these like remote controls in your hand, you're pressing something. It's just a remote. That's all it is. Next question. On the US Extra, we have, let's see, just a couple more of these. With your transceiver displaying the carrier frequency of CW, which is Morse code signals, you hear a DX station. Again, DX outside your country. Okay, so a DX station's call on 3.5 megahertz. Is it legal to return the call using CW on the same frequency? This is where knowing the band plan is really important because this is a very important question. Okay, you cannot answer this because one of the sidebands of your CW signal is going to go below 3.5 megs. Remember, we're on lower sideband. Because we're on lower sideband, that CW signal, even though it's narrow, is going to go below 3.5 megahertz. Therefore, it will go outside the band plan. You can't do it. Same thing with sideband. You'll see some of these questions where take a look carefully. Remember, 3 kilohertz, okay, up or down. Look where it's at. You'll have the answer. It's not that hard. Simple. Last one on the extra today. When evaluating RF exposure, meaning radio frequency exposure levels from your station at a neighbor's home, what must you do? So you're at your neighbor's house. You're bringing your directional watt meter with you. You've got your, you got your stuff. You're ready to go, and you take a look, and you find out that something is a little high. What should you do? You just make sure signals from your station are less than the uncontrolled maximum permissible exposure limits. Uncontrolled. Remember, if they're controlled, all right, then you shouldn't have any problem whatsoever because you're controlling them. Those are things you have control of. But uncontrolled, meaning these are things that are outside your control, that's when it becomes a problem. So make sure that your signals are less than the uncontrolled MPE limits. Where can you find that? Find it on the FCC website, or better yet, just keep studying. You'll find the information for maximum permissible exposure limits. All right, quickly, between both the U.S. and the UK licenses, and I'm trying to say quick hellos to everybody because we had some folks that came in the house already. My goodness, what a joy. Lewis is back. Hello, Lewis. His call sign, Whiskey Alpha 3, Kilo, Kilo, Bravo. Love that call sign, man. Thanks for coming. Great to have you. Anders is here. My friend, Anders is my pal. We got a little antenna thing. And yes, Anders, we put up another antenna. Look at that. There it is on the roof, but it's an antenna. So there's number 2. Yep. Okay. So we did it. Anders, yes, we did. That's pretty good. All right. And Sly, yep, Saturday, early hours down here in Borneo, East Malaysia. Yep. It's like 2 a.m. I'm blown away you're here. Truly. Alan, thank you so much. He says, better late than never. Happy Friday. He is Kilo 0 Alpha Delta Lima. Welcome to the show. Thanks, Alan. Thank you so much. Let's see. We've got, hey, Nikolai's back from Russia. Welcome back, buddy. Good to see you, mate. My gosh, what a joy. Romeo 7, Delta November in Russia. That is, let's see. We've got Asia, Oceania, North America, Europe, Middle East. Wow. Beyond my comprehension. Thank you sincerely. That is amazing to me. And I never expected this to happen. My sincere appreciation to you all. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yep. All right. Now, let's move over. I know we said we'd be on the QSO from Heck, the pilot from Heck. It's coming. But we also help our mates in the UK. The UK has had a huge increase in ham radio applications. And I receive from time to time emails from great mates in the UK asking for help to get to the full exam license. Here it is. Every Friday we'll do this. I've got some materials, by the way, coming from the Radio Society of Great Britain to help me help you to be able to pass the test as well. I want to say big thanks to Steve at the Radio Society of Great Britain. His call sign's Mike 1, Alpha, Charlie, Bravo. Thank you, Steve. All right. UK, this is on the full exam for the United Kingdom. And you'll see wrong answers here too, because teaching you the right answer is the most important thing. Keep in mind, I'm in the US doing the best I can with a test that isn't like ours, okay? Next, first question on the UK. This is the full. Apart from the licensee, an amateur radio station may be operated by, and here's the answer, a person who holds an amateur radio certificate issued by the Secretary of State. All right. So outside of you operating your transceiver as a full licensee, your station can be operated only by another person who holds a license. That's it. So keep that in mind. That's very important. You can't just throw your neighbor on the air and say, hey, mate, make some calls. Maybe you can make one to America. Who knows? All right, next question. The period of validity of an amateur transmitting license, and they put in parentheses, current answer different from answer given on marked grid. Okay. The real thing is, I know the parentheses are always important, but the point is, you want to make sure and contact Ofcom every 5 years, whether you move or not. Contacting Ofcom every 5 years to just confirm your license, your address, all of that. Everything they need every 5 years is what you have to do, no matter what. 5 years, you're just fine. Next question. On the UK, full exam. This is the top license for the United Kingdom. If demanded by a person authorized by the Secretary of State, keep in mind this is the governing body for the United Kingdom, to close down or restrict operation, the licensee must comply. So in layman's terms, if someone from the Secretary of State comes and tells you to shut off your station, when do you do it? You have to do it immediately. You don't do it within 24 hours, 7 days, or 28. They tell you to turn it off, you turn it off, okay? That's pretty easy. Next question. And this one I got wrong. When operating in other countries which have signed SEPT recommendation T/R61-01, you must, and the correct answer, be a temporary visitor and non-resident in the host country. Okay? So keep in mind this question. When operating in other countries which have signed the SEPT agreement, okay, you must be a temporary visitor and a non-resident in the country you're going to. That's the answer. All right? Better to have, I'd rather get them wrong but tell you the right answer than the other way around, okay? This is about helping people. All right. These two questions. You have a real-time QSO on 2 meters with another packet station which is out of range. This is made possible through digipeating. Just remember, digipeating, okay, we know about repeaters, right? Repeaters repeat what we transmit. So we send a signal out, the repeater receives it, then it retransmits it on a different frequency close to where you are. This is simply for digital. So if you're using a digital mode like packet radio, it's used as a digipeater. It's the same thing. It's going to be a repeater, but it's using it in a digipeater mode. That's all. Yeah. Repeaters do this automatically, but technically it's called a digipeater. So remember, digipeating if you're using digital modes through a repeater. Next question. DX cluster networks. You'll find these on the internet. Okay. You just look at the internet like DX Heat. That's one of them. It'll show you where people are at and where they're transmitting. You can even adjust it to your country. You can see, on my country, what is being heard from specific continents. It's very cool. But the main point is, question 13, DX cluster networks is a system using packet radio or internet for spreading DX information to amateurs who are logged on. Okay? Like I said, DX Heat is a great example of a DX cluster. Just remember, it's a system using packet radio. So people using packet to send information, say Whiskey 7 Alpha Bravo Charlie is currently being heard in Great Britain, right? All right. And so they find it either through packet radio or the internet. Usually it's the internet for spreading DX information to amateurs who are logged on. Many people use DX clusters. There's many of them out there. It's just a matter of knowing what they are. And that's really what it is. They send the information about a station that they're getting. They put it on the DX cluster so other people can work them too. It's kind of a public service. It's nice to do. Next question. By the way, Anders, thank you. You are so kind, man. I pray so hard before every show. I do, man. This means a lot. Thanks, Anders. I mean that very. Anders, by the way, is in Sweden. And Anders, Norway, pardon me. I am so thankful. Thank you for that. Next question. When sending CQ, a CQ call in Morse, the call sign of the station should be sent at a speed. So you're sending Morse code. How fast should you send it? That's really what this question means. You should send it at the speed the sender is prepared to receive a copy. Okay, so when you're calling CQ with Morse code, send it at a speed that you're comfortable with, because the person on the end is going to recognize that, and they're going to most likely send back at that speed. That's why. So when sending a CQ call in Morse code, the call sign of the station should be sent at the speed at which the sender is prepared to receive a reply. Makes it easy to use Morse code. Next question. You are listening to another ammeter through a repeater. When the repeater goes silent for a moment or so, but you could still hear the ammeter on the input frequency. This is most likely because the ammeter has talked for too long and the repeater has timed out. Yeah, repeaters will time out after a while because the repeater is set up in a way that if it's on for a long time, they have a fail-safe timer that will basically shut them down for a moment. So the mains can cool. That's the main reason why. Otherwise, I mean, they literally could be burned up. So there is a timer, and that's the reason why you would hear it. Remember, the key to this question is if it goes silent for a minute or so. Remember, a minute is timed out. You'll have the answer. That's how I would do it. Next question. And it makes sense because repeaters can only repeat for so long before they have to shut down. The transmitter's getting too hot. Next question. You're operating using your own call sign and appropriate prefix under SEPT. That's the SEPT agreement between countries allowing reciprocal licensing between different countries so people can use their ham radios. Say from the UK, you want to use it in the States. You can do that because you have the SEPT agreement. Just bring your appropriate license documents over, make sure that the FCC has the information, and you have the authorization to transmit. Okay? So the question, you are operating using your own call sign and appropriate prefix under SEPT licensing in a region 2 host country, like the States or South America or Canada. You may, and this part is so cool, UK people. Yes, it is. Because you can operate within the frequencies allowed to region 2 licensed ammeters. So if you travel, you're licensed and you've got your ham radio license, your full license there in the UK. You come over to the States or to Canada, maybe down to Mexico or to South America, whatever, region 2. Hawaii even. You can operate now up to 4 meters on 80, 75 actually. So you go to 4, no longer 3.8, and 40 meters now goes up to 7.3. So you get a lot more frequencies by coming over to region 2 on holidays. So that's kind of cool. This is one of my favorite questions on the UK full exam because it gives you an idea that when you travel, for example, to region 2, you operate within the frequencies that are allowed there. Same thing with region 3. Remember, UK, you're in region 1, okay? So if you travel, you have to stay within the region 1 band plan. All right. Here's one I got wrong. Which of the following frequencies is a full licensee allowed to use on a non-interference basis? The answer is 51.5 megs. I should have had this right because that's the national calling frequency. I should have had this right, but I blew it. I put 431, or I hit 51.5 when I was in a rush to take all these questions and just hit the wrong one. But I know it's 51.5 because that's the national calling frequency. Okay. And the question, which of the following frequencies is a full licensee allowed to use on a, and listen, non-interference basis? The reason is that's the national calling frequency in the UK on 2 meters. So you're just on 6 meters. If you're on 6, that's it, 51.5. You can use it, but you can't interfere with another station on it. That's the big deal. So UK ammeters on 6 meters, 51.5. You got it. Just don't interfere with any stations that are using it. Okay? Last question. For the UK, an amateur radio station may be used in times of emergency for sending messages. And look at the answers. Okay, any of these could seem plausible. But the answer really isn't the one that seems like it would be right. Let me repeat the question. I'll give with the answer. An amateur radio station may be used in times of emergency for sending messages on behalf of user services. That's the answer. The reason for this is because we have certain laws in certain countries where we have to follow certain rules. In the UK, if user services has, there's an emergency going on, you can transmit information over your ham radio when there's an emergency on behalf of them. Okay? That's how it works in the UK. It's different than it works here in the US, but that's how it works there. Remember that. If you see user services, you know you're good. Okay? That's the end of Extra Full Friday on Friday, the 16th day of April. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good to have you. That was 20 questions. So we got 10 on the extra, 10 on the foundation, on the full. If you have questions, this is really important. I want you to understand this is very important. I am not an expert at anything. I'm not. I'm just a normal guy. But I grew up in radio. I was a radio geek. And, you've heard of gym rats. I was a radio rat. I followed the engineers everywhere. I learned all the little technical things about radio. So when it came time to take the test, even though I worked a lot of hours and prayed more than you can imagine to pass it, I was blessed to go from 0 to extra at the same day. Well, okay. The point is, you may have a question. Don't ever think the questions are stupid. I have people who always email me and say, I think is a stupid question. But no, it's not a stupid question. You don't know the answer. It's not a stupid question. Please feel free and email the show. All right? You can reach me on email at cqhamradiolive@gmail.com. That's cqhamradiolive@gmail.com. All right? If you want to get licensed in the United States, need information about a local radio club, ARL.org is your licensing connection. They'll help you find an amateur radio club near you. Outside the U.S., you can also contact them on their Contact Us page. Let them know where you are and you want to find a radio club near you to help you get on the air. Our mates across the pond can do the same thing, and our folks to the Great White North can do the same thing for you as well by finding you a radio club nearby. If you're in Canada, contact the Radio Amateurs of Canada. That's RAC. Find them at www.rac.ca. Canadian Amateurs, they'll help you. In Great Britain, contact the Radio Society of Great Britain. They are the RSGB. I get that wrong. Anyway, find them at www.rsgb.org. They'll connect you with a radio club near you, even if you're outside of the UK. They're great people there. They will research and find a radio club as close as possible to you, just like the US will, to help get you in amateur radio. All right. Very special host to all everybody. And my goodness gracious, y'all are talking a lot today. Happy Friday the 16th. Let's get some comments here. And I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much, especially Sly. I'm just 1 degree north of the equator. Yeah, he's hot and he's humid as heck. That is for sure, man. Yay! Woo! Alan, thank you for coming again, and we're grateful. Wow, all over the world today. Thank you for coming, everybody. You humble me, and I do mean sincerely. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Slide, Tom says to Tom, I guess you did acquire the Malay or Indonesia languages. I speak both too. Hi. Well done. Nikolay, it's always a pleasure when you come here from Russia. I mean that. Thank you. That's such a treat for me. Kevin in the house, Kilo Charlie 3. Oh, no, I love that call. Look at that. He sold his 991A. He got 900 out of it. Remember, he talked about selling it. Got 900 out of it. Now he's going to order one of Callum McCormick's Nebula antennas at DX Commander. Find him, dxcommander.co.uk, and he's got some amazing antenna products there. You'll love it. Tell him's a great guy to deal with. You'll love it. Now, keep in mind, that's about 58 feet. Okay, so if you got antenna restrictions, just understand that it's 58 feet high. You can also run a 160 inverted L off of it as well. So it will do 80 meters, no problem. It will. But for 160, hey man, you're already 58 feet up. 160 meter wire at a quarter wave isn't that long. You can run it off of inverted L. You got a 160 now. So great stuff. And he does build some wonderful products. All right. Yeah, Scott. Yep. So like myself, you are an expert on not being an expert. Sir, you are exactly correct.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. Let me get you in. We're going to show you this, and then we'll say some final goodbyes, and then we'll close. We'll do CQ calling tomorrow during the daytime. Try and work the States and parts of Canada, hopefully. And that'll be at the same time. So we'll hit you up at 11 a.m. Pacific time, which translates into, I think it's 1700 UTC. All right. Yep, 1700. Okay. No, 1800. I got it right now. It took me forever. I kept saying 20. I'm like, it's not 20. Sorry. 18 UTC tomorrow. We'll work on some calls. And some updated channel news. The flagpole antenna is coming from Greyline Performance. The neighbors will never, ever know about that one. So excited. Also, the Urban Beam from Step IR is purchased, being built right now, and we'll pick that up on Monday. Looking forward to that. And we'll also do some stuff on the Flex 6500 and the Yaesu 991 Alpha behind me. Should be a whole lot of fun because we got way too many radios here, and we should have hopefully a whole bunch of fun, you know?
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
Absolutely. All right. Take a look at this. This is one of the worst pileups I have ever heard in my entire life. And a very patient hand that waited hard to make that call. Listen to how many people are working so hard to make this call that they cannot stop saying their darn call sign. Drives you crazy. But check this out. This is a try to beat one of the most difficult calls next to North Korea that there is. Here's a try for Antarctica. Enjoy.
Okay, Uniform Tango 5, Uniform Romeo Whiskey. That's correct?
Por aquí.
United Tango 5, Uniform Romeo Whiskey, 5-4. 54.
Echo America 2, Echo America 2. Echo Bravo 5, Echo America 2, Echo America 2. Sierra Delta Kilo. Echo America 2, Echo America 2. Delta Kilo. 95. Echo America 2, Echo Alpha 2. Tango Kilowatt 5 Alpha Echo. 35, 9 Alpha 5, Echo Alpha 5, 9 Alpha 5, Alpha November. Echo America 2, Echo America 2, Alpha Tango Quebec, over 9 Alpha 5, Alpha November. Tango Alpha. 35, Germany Whiskey Alpha November, 9 Alpha 5 Alpha November. Tokyo America, Italy 5. Germany Whiskey Oscar, Germany Whiskey Ontario.
Echo Alpha 5, Golf Tango 9 Alpha 5 Alpha November. 9 Alpha 5 Alpha Echo Golf Tango Uniform 53. Germany Whiskey Ontario, Germany Whiskey America, Tango Alpha. Tango Uniform, Golf Tango Uniform, Golf Tango Uniform 53. Echo America 5. Echo Bravo 5, Echo Zulu America. Echo Bravo 5, Echo Zulu America. 57, QSO. Echo Alpha 5, Golf from uniform. Echo Alpha 5, Golf from uniform. Italy 5, yes, is correct. Echo America 5, Whiskey Ocean. Uniform. Echo America 5, Golf Tango Uniform. 5 by 7, QSO. Echo Alpha 5, Golf Tango Uniform. Thanks for the 5-7. 5 for you, 5 for you, 5 for you. 5 for Echo Alpha 5 Golf Tango Uniform. Thank you for 5 and 7. Thank you, please, and bye-bye.
Germany 0, Victor Quebec Yankee.
Charlie Tango Quebec. Echo America 2, Canada Tango Quebec. Roger the Kilo, Italy. Echo Alpha 6, Alpha Echo Zulu. Sugar. November. Echo Alpha 6, Alpha Echo Zulu. Echo America 2. Alpha 5,
Germany 0, Victor Queen Yankee.
Echo Alpha 7. Echo America 2. Canada Tango Quebec. Alpha 5 Alpha. Tokyo Alpha Tango Alpha. Echo Alpha 6. Alpha Echo Zulu.
Germany 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Germany 0, Victor Queen Yankee. 5 and 4, QSL.
Echo America 2. Canada Tango Quebec.
Yeah, Germany 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Germany 0, Victor Queen Yankee. 5 and 4, QSL.
Tokyo Alpha.
Yeah, Germany 0, Victor Queen Yankee. Or 5 and 4, QSL.
Golf 0, please again. Golf 0, please again.
Yeah, Golf 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Golf 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Or 5 and 4, QSL.
Golf 0, please. Only Golf 0, please.
Yeah, Golf 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Germany 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Or 5 and 4, QSL. Yeah, Germany 0, Victor Quebec Yankee. Germany 0, Victor Queen Yankee. Or 5 and 4, QSL.
Propagation is done. Golf 0, 8, Victor Quebec Yankee. Thank you for the 5-4. 5-3 for you. 5-3 for you.
5 and 3, many thanks. Bye-bye.
And Delta Papa Zero Golf 6 November.
Look at that. What a job he did. Frankly, I think I probably would have got to the point where I would have probably, hunted down the Echo Quebec Yankee guy. Anyway, just my thoughts. That's the show today. Hope you enjoyed it. Extra Full Friday. We try and help you out in 2 continents to get the highest level of ham radio license. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific. That is 18 UTC. We're looking forward to see if we can make some QSOs. We had an antenna coming today, and also a big part to finally be able to plug this little guy in here, the Maestro, so I can use it. Looking forward to that as well today. And we'll hopefully open up the 991 over there and be able to get it hooked up on 2 meters in HF. And we thank you for watching. I don't monetize the channel. You may see a commercial at the beginning. That's out of my control. YouTube does that. They say it's on like a random basis for people that have over 1,000 subscribers. And, over 4,000 hours of watch time in 12 months, which is a pretty low bar, I think, but it's a way for them to make money. I promise you, I don't put any ads here. You won't see a single ad after, if you unfortunately see an ad before the show. You won't see any more of them. Please subscribe. I don't monetize this. I do it to give back. It's my way of sharing ham radio and the passion I have for it. For the folks that are trying to license up, one word: don't give up. I guess that's 3 words. Don't give up. It's not hard to do this. Don't let your mind talk you out of getting a higher license. Study for it. Work hard towards it, and you will license up, and the world will open up to you. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. If you want to get some information about ham radio in the States, contact the ARRL at www.arl.org. In Canada, the Radio Amateurs of Canada will help you at www.rac.ca, and our mates across the pond in Great Britain, you can find the Radio Society of Great Britain at www.rsgb.org. For Tom in Bahrain, a very special sign-off today. Thank you all for watching Ham Radio Live. It's my honor and privilege, and I am blown away today. Just blown away at the amount of people who are here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until tomorrow, God bless you and goodbye.
Low of 45 and a high of 65%. The surface winds moderate northerly, becoming light during the evening. The visibility good. The sea state in coastal waters smooth or slight, and in open water slight. And the general weather outlook for the weekend is fine. Well, that's all we have for you on Channel 55 for today. We look forward to your company tomorrow. Until then, from all of us here, it's a very good night.
Everything